All right, troop 10, hut! Forward march! Do something! Welcome to Fort Irving. We've made several changes for the new season. For one thing, we have a pre-credit sequence now, and the credits themselves are about a third as long.
Well, there you are, Agarn. Your share of this month's profits.
Oh yeah, we're also in color now.
Gee, Sarge, this is the most money you ever paid me.
Well, after all, you've been a hard-working, loyal employee of O'Rourke Enterprises, and this saloon has turned out to be a gold mine.
Knock on wood.
I think the wood objects to being knocked on.
A note on that thing.
I don't need no note. I got the message from the knife.
Hello, cousin. I am in the alley next to the saloon. Come quick. Your cousin, Pierre. I got no cousin, Pierre.
But I do. He's a fur trapper in Canada.
Another of Agarn's distant cousins. That can only mean one thing.
Cousin Randall, c'est moi. Who is he? Can he be trusted? Oh, sure. He's my best friend. This is Sergeant O'Rourke. Sarge, this is my cousin, Pierre Agarn.
Larry Storch is doing multiple roles again. I think we're all okay with that, so let's turn him loose. This cousin goes by Lucky Pierre.
Excuse me. I cannot be seen. I must stay out of sight.
Listen, if you're so lucky, why are you hiding in an alley?
I'm being pursued by crooks. They want to steal my furs.
He's developed new furs that nobody else has, and there's an unscrupulous guy chasing him to try and take them away.
Through careful crossbreeding, I mated a lynx with a marmoset. What do you call it? Minx.
A lynx is a cat. A marmoset is a monkey. Forget the fur. I want to know what the critter looks like.
Oh, that's very clever of you, Lucky. Crossbreeding, huh?
I'm also thinking of mating a fox with my minx. You could call it a fink. Very good, cousin. Very good. Or you could even cross a lynx and a fox, and you'd have a lox.
Well, now you're just being silly. O'Rourke says you can leave them with the Hackowies for safekeeping.
Agarn, your cousin Lucky Pierre has really brought us some luck.
He has?
Well, don't you get it? We're going in the fur business with him. He's got the pelts, we got the Hackowie squaws to make them into fur coats.
Sarge, you're right. We'll make a fortune off those minks, finks, and locks.
I hope Pierre has more furs than he showed them, or it might be enough to make one mini coat.
Tramp, 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 the road is free. For planters and Canucks, Virginians and Kentucks, Captain Dick's own infantry. Captain Dick's own infantry. Sergeant Ranston, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Fans of Bewitched will recognize Samantha's wisecracking Uncle Arthur, while a whole generation recognizes the guy in the center square. Paul Lynde's face and voice made him a natural to play the smart aleck who always has a comeback, and his jokes and retorts on Hollywood squares are part of the American vocabulary. One story says he knew he wanted to be an actor the first time he saw a real movie. True or not, he did seem to have a singular focus, and it drove him his entire life. He got an early start and made it to Broadway, where he spent several years. Later on, he moved to television and pretty well established himself. That's not hard to do when your style is so unique and you have the talent to back it up. Unfortunately, he also had some problems with alcohol. He got sober in 1980, but it would appear the damage was done. He died in his sleep from a heart attack in 1982 at the age of 55. I can't help but think, what a waste. So many incredibly talented people died early like this for one reason or another. It's hard not to wonder how much more they could have done. I'm not talking about the James Deans or the Jim Croces and other folks who died in accidents. I mean the ones who basically burned themselves out or otherwise damaged their bodies to the point where their bodies couldn't sustain life anymore. Mozart, River Phoenix, Chris Farley, Jimi Hendrix, the list goes on and on. Based on what I found in my research on him, we can add Paul Lynde to that list. It's just sad. But right now, he's gonna make us laugh.
Hey, look here. He's got wheels on this thing.
Just a clever innovation of mine. A first for the Mounties. A sled with retractable wheels.
You know, there's another great innovation you could try. It's called a horse-drawn wagon. It's got lots more room and the horses don't bark nonstop. And by the way, he's after Lucky Pierre. He says Agarn's cousin is the real thief. We don't feel a need to tell the Parmenter story anymore. We'll illustrate some of the goings-on at the fort, make them instrumental, and cut it down to just under 30 seconds. And by the way, Wild Eagle gets billing in the opening credits alongside the main four.
Maybe we could make as much on the reward as we could in the fur coat business.
Reward?
Sure.
Sarge, you can't turn in Lucky Pierre. He's my cousin, son of my Aunt Charlene,
This is going to get a little complex, so pay attention.
who was married to my Uncle Harry, who was my mother's favorite, next to her brother Seymour, who's married to the lovely Lily Farquhar of the Mosaic Farquharts, who lived in the big house on the hill next to the Langtons, whose daughter Shirley married Walensky.
Walensky?
Yeah, Shirley married Irving Walensky, whose son Melvin
On the other hand, never mind. The captain calls the troops to order so Sergeant Ramsden can explain his mission and what he needs from Fort Courage.
He is looking for a notorious French-Canadian fur thief named Lucky Pierre. Now, I want you all to cooperate and be neighborly to our good neighbor from the north while he's here in the neighborhood. Sergeant Ramsden, could you give the men a description of this thief?
I have found my man.
He says, "It was clever of you to shave your beard, but I recognize you, Pierre." The men all start protesting because Agarn has the best alibi the sergeant could imagine. He's been assigned here for 4 years, he doesn't speak French, and all the men will vouch for him.
How long you been in the cavalry?
10 years,
How long you been in Fort Courage?
4 years.
When was your last furlough?
A year ago last March.
Where'd you go?
Canada to visit my cousin Pierre.
Captain Parmenter, throw this man in irons.
Now, wait a minute. He hasn't done anything.
Captain Parmenter agrees. However, since Ramsden knows Pierre is in this area, there's a good chance he'll try to contact his cousin. So for now, Agarn is confined to quarters until Pierre is caught.
Hi, Wilton.
Hi, Jane. Sergeant Ramsden, I'd like you to meet Wrangler Jane. This is Sergeant Ramsden of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
We won't find out why she's here yet.
We always get our man. And we, get our woman, too. I dream of Wrangler with the light yellow hair.
And she's instantly smitten. Jane seems really easy to impress sometimes. And of course, when Jane gets impressed, Wilton gets depressed.
Jane, I think you'd better go. Sergeant Ramsden has a lot of work to do.
Yes, I'm going to run down a couple of leads on the case. Would you, care to join me in the sled, my dear? My dogs are waiting with wagging tails.
Oh, that would be thrilling. Bye, Wilton.
I can never tell if she's messing with his head or if she really is ready to run off with any dude who gives her a compliment. O'Rourke is going to the Hakawi camp to ask Pierre a few questions. Such as, what's that incredible aroma?
Sacre bleu! I should have thought of it before.
Thought of what?
This must be the work of the most infamous fur thief in all Canada.
Who's that?
The burglar of Banff.
The burglar of Banff.
I couldn't find a solid answer for why it ends with 2 F's. Both the town and the national park in Alberta were named for a place in Scotland, and I couldn't find out why that one has 2 F's either. Just go with it.
Yeah, well, I don't think there is a burglar of Banff. Come on.
All right, Sergeant. Au revoir, crazy pussy. Wild Eagle. My only regret is that we could not go into the fur coat business together. It would have made a fortune for you, for the tribe, for Sergeant O'Rourke.
Ah, look at that. Pierre went and said the F word. That'll always get O'Rourke's attention. He reports about the burglar of Banff truth to the captain. Trust me, that is not easy to say. But Parmenter isn't buying it. He thinks the place to look for a fur thief is where there are people trapping furs, such as Indians. They're off to the Hikawi camp to see if Pierre is hiding there.
Listen, Captain Parmenter here is looking for some information about Lucky Pierre, who he thinks is a fur thief. Of course, I told him that you hadn't seen Lucky Pierre, and that if Lucky Pierre was here, that he'd be hiding in a teepee.
Sergeant O'Rourke speak truth, Captain. We not see this man, Lucky Pierre.
Cue the contrary evidence.
Chief Wild Eagle ready to taste delicious bouillabaisse?
Oh, bouillabaisse. Bouillabaisse? Oh, that's a French dish.
No, that's an Indian dish. You see, the French took it from the Indians. Now, bouilla means bark of tree, and baise means soup. So bouillabaisse is soup of bark of tree.
The French didn't know that, which is why they got it wrong and started using fish.
Ooh la la, that's good.
Ooh la la?
That's an old Indian saying, yes. You see, ooh means hot, and la means very. So ooh la la means very, very hot.
Yeah, that works in French.
I suppose that fur coat is squirrel.
Badger, actually. It won't take the captain long.
I've got him, Sergeant. You should never cook with garlic.
Captain, listen, I've got to be honest with you. Now, I knew that Lucky Pierre was here all the time, but, well, he's convinced me that he is not the fur thief, and I didn't want that smug Mountie to be getting the wrong man.
Pierre says, wait, the singing Mountie has no reason to be chasing me. We're friends.
I taught him to sing Frère Jacques.
That's the only song he hasn't sung.
That is his favorite. He goes around always singing.
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, ding-dong, da, ding-dong, da.
Don't quit your trapping job, Pierre. He sounds like he's auditioning for The Who.
Sergeant, this man is guilty.
Well, how can you tell that, Captain?
Because he is imitating a baritone, and the singing Mountie is a tenor.
Wrong! The guy you talked to is a tenor. The singing Mountie is a baritone.
And who could he be?
The burglar of Banff.
The only credentials he showed you were a uniform, a dog sled on wheels, and hitting on your girl. Maybe Pierre is telling the truth.
Just a minute, Sergeant. Lucky Pierre, is this the singing Mountie?
No, this man is an imposter.
Would you sing Frère Jacques, Sergeant?
You mean you believe this fur thief?
Would you just sing Frère Jacques?
I believe that's your key, Sergeant.
The imposter is exposed.
You'll never take the burglar of Banff alive!
Well, they mushed.
Oh, Wilton, I'm so proud of you. You weren't taking him by him a minute.
No, but you were.
Yeah, he's right. You were dazzled by his pitch pipe.
Oh, I think you're both awful.
Jane, you had that coming. While you were mesmerized by his singing, he could have talked you right out of your, six-shooter.
The world is free. We're planters and
You hear that?
Why, he's escaped already.
No, look.
Oh, listen to the pitch of his voice, boys. That's the real singing Mountie.
Lucky Pierre.
Hello there, singing Mountie.
Sergeant Ramsden, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We always get our man.
Captain Parmenter, this is Sergeant O'Rourke, and this is Wrangler Jane.
Wrangler Jane.
I dream of Wrangler with the light yaller hair.
At the very least, he could have used a different Stephen Foster song. It rained all night the day I left. The weather was so dry. The sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I come from... If you're enjoying this, be sure to click the thumbs up button to show you like it. If you're not subscribed yet, punch me in the face right here and get it done. And don't forget that you can become a patron and help keep this kitty fed. The link is below. Until next time, listen to the pitch of his voice. Yeah, good grief.